Good morning. Welcome to Morning Melodies. I am John, your host. And this morning, I chose a hymn that was written by a man named Robert Robinson. He lived during the late 1700s, had a really rough upbringing. He lost his father when he was 8 years old, and his wealthy grandfather cut the family off because he didn't approve of the marriage of his mother and father, and just lived a really sinful life, just in having to be the breadwinner of him and his widowed mom, and just had a tough time until he fell under the preaching of George Whitefield, who preached very, very strongly, and he couldn't get the idea of the wrath of God out of his mind, and through his preaching became converted, the story says, and became a pastor, a Baptist pastor, and kind of got into Methodism, and wrote this hymn called Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing. And it's very interesting, some of the words that he used. Verse that we don't sing very often in our modern hymnals is "Here I raise my Ebenezer," and that comes from 1 Samuel chapter 7, and the idea of Ebenezer is a symbol of God's faithfulness. Faithfulness in ministry is something that we don't often see, and it's kind of sad. And it's interesting in verse number 3 of this hymn that he wrote, the words, "Prone to wander, Lord, I feel it, prone to leave the God I love," because what happened was he fell back into sin and unstableness, and even got involved in the doctrines of Unitarianism, and just kind of lost his zeal for ministry and for his faith. And I fear some of that happening in these days that we live in, where there's a lot of people that are getting discouraged and walking away from the Lord. But listen to the story here that is related, because it was years later that he was riding in a stagecoach, and there was a young lady in that coach, and she sang "Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing," just because it was an awkward silence. And then when she finished singing, she turned to him and said, "What do you think of that song?" And this is what he said: "Madam, I am the poor unhappy man who wrote that hymn many years ago, and I would give 1,000 worlds if I had them to enjoy the feelings I had then." So my friends, think about your relationship with the Lord and how it was when you first received forgiveness for your sin. And if you are discouraged now, sing these words, "Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing." Come thou fount of every blessing, tune my heart to sing thy grace. Streams of mercy never ceasing, call for songs of loudest praise. Teach me some melodious sonnet, sung by flaming tongues above. Praise his name, I'm fixed upon it, name of God's redeeming love. Sing the last verse. Oh, to grace, how great a debtor daily I'm constrained to be. Let thy goodness like a fetter Bind my wandering heart to thee. Prone to wander, Lord, I feel it. Prone to leave the God I love. Here's my heart, oh, take and seal it. Seal it for thy courts above. My friend, I am praying for you. If you are discouraged today, turn to the Lord and ask him to give you the joy that you had when you first received him as your Savior. And if you have never asked Jesus to be your Savior and you're struggling right now, send me a message or talk to someone that you know who can share with you the good news of Jesus Christ. Join me again tomorrow for another Morning Melody. God bless you.